Okay, so welcome everyone, the few but faithful. And thank you for all of you who may be watching this recording. This is our summer refresh series, Women's Federation New Jersey. We're hosting this. I'm super excited about this topic. And I hope everyone who's here live and also watching the recording will gain from it. I think you will. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Katrina Connery. I'm Vice President for Women's Fed USA. I'm also active with the New Jersey chapter. So yeah, one of the things that inspires me about Women's Federation is, our focus and our emphasis on building peace in the world by starting first with peace within, through internal growth, internal transformation, knowing ourselves, our self-worth, and then that we can bring out to how we relate to other people, how we parent, how we relate with our coworkers. So really it starts within. So that's why I'm super excited about our speaker. She's an expert on this topic. She's been coaching many people on self-transformation and growth. So let me just, before I call her up, I'm going to read to you some of her bio. Ritu Chopra inspires people with her coaching sincerity and professional leadership experience that includes managing business and IT operations in Fortune 500 companies for over 20 years. She is an international speaker, a certified executive coach, an author, TV show host, and a humanitarian. She is an author, as I mentioned. Some of her works include Art of Life and Mastering Life, focusing on personal mastery to achieve success in personal and professional domains. She has a recently released book, Women's Leadership in the 21st Century, and it's a holistic approach to leadership for women of all generations. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to reading that one. Brand new book. And then she has another title coming up, Magic and Mindfulness. So without further ado, let us welcome our speaker for tonight, our presenter, Ritu Chopra.
Thank you, Katerina. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you. Welcome, Ritu.
Okay, let me just start the slideshow. Okay, growing gracefully. It's a very dear topic, and the process of it developed when I was going through a very critical stage in my life. I would say stage. It wasn't to do with getting older or getting, it wasn't anything to do with the age, let me put it that way. But it was really interesting that I was just kind of became aware that where has the time gone by? What's happening? It's just like I saw the years flew by and I just kind of in a doing mode and didn't realize, and how things have changed so rapidly in front of us, we don't realize. And that kind of started a introspection process for myself, as I do for my earlier programs that I have. It was kind of in a habit every 3 months or 6 months to go through the analysis process. And that started right here as growing gracefully. What I call it is a process of believing in yourself, regardless of your strengths or shortcomings. We all do have them. So it is kind of in a multifaceted process. As we come to this age, let's say midlife, a lot changes with us. A lot. We most of us are empty nesters. If we have kids, women going through menopause, men going through their midlife changes. We find ourselves in a sandwich generations. We're taking care of our elderly parents. Our kids are growing up, getting into relationships. Some of us are grandparents, where we have the joy of having a new grandchild come in our lives, and we also have elderly parents, and some extra pounds, some health issues, some relationships didn't work out, some sadness through relationships, just like by the time we come to 50, 50 or the midlife, that just so much has happened to us around us. And when we look at all of the changes that has happened to us, a lot of time we find discontent within our own hearts of things that we wanted to do didn't happen. We find ourselves caught up between chaos of life, the job losses, stress at jobs. It could be, wanting things, having financial pressures, requirements, and things like that. We get caught up so much. And then, especially when kids are growing, they're getting into relationships. So, our network of people, our relationship, everything is expanding. It's just not the waistline, everything else around us starts expanding. And so, I look at it. So, what is growing gracefully? Accepting ourselves as we are, self-care, personal growth, embracing the wisdom that we have learned so far. So there is, which I call as an 8 pillar process. So before we get into it, as Catherine already talked about me, I'm a technologist by profession. I took an exit from a corporate IT. I'm an author, international speaker, and I had life given me opportunities that I had produced a series of documentaries. I call myself a techie runaway filmmaker. I have no background in, prior to that, no background in making films, but anyway, it happened. And these films are now used as a training tool for first responders, etc. Okay, so that's about me. And as I was talking about what is growing gracefully, I already gave you kind of introduction of growing gracefully. What the process is that multifaceted process that is multifaceted and empowering process to embrace our own unique experiences that we have and all kinds of challenges, good, bad things, whatever we have accumulated so far, bringing into our experience and learn from them. So as I say that this is an 8 facet process, I would just kind of quickly tell you what they are, and we'll go each one. And I would like to ask if you don't mind grabbing a pen and a pad to make some notes. I personally don't like to add quizzes and polls. I think these are very personal topics. Each person has a different experiences and may have different set of questions to explore. So if you need to grab something, please take a moment. We can pause, grab a pen and a pad. That'd be great. Okay, so should I proceed, Katrina? Okay, we're ready. Okay, self-acceptance. A lot happens to us. Say we come to at this midlife stage. Let's call it 50 plus, wherever we are in our journey. We have wonderful experiences of our growth, our the family relations, our children growing up, being accomplished, having our own accomplishments, and seeing our children being taking care of their own lives, etc., etc. So that's the kind of stage that where we find asking ourselves questions: what did I miss in my life? What did I didn't do? Or there are some things that I never had time to pay attention to. Some things change. One good example that we all can relate to is very recent is the COVID-19. A lot of people took a refreshed look on their lives. Some things didn't matter anymore. Other things mattered more. So things change. So that's the kind of stage when we come to midlife, we take a refreshed look at our life and goals. What matters, what doesn't matter. So the growth is happening anyway. We're just growing physically without our doing any effort. It just happens. Aging is a process that we have no control on. But around that growth of the physical growth, we have some other areas of our personalities and our lives are the emotional growth, spiritual growth, learning, relationships. Our children are entering into relationships. Our network, our family connections grow, and our siblings, their families, their spouses. So we kind of keep growing in our network. And so is our adjustment to each type of relation that we have. Some work very well, others don't. We hold differences opinions. So we hold our own opinion about a certain person who could be a family member. So those are the kind of things that we hardly have some time given attention to. What's happening at that moment, we are becoming judgmental of ourselves. And self-acceptance of where we are in the situations we are, however we are, how we are responding, instead of being critical, being accepting of the situations around us, taking a look at it, what's at the moment surrounding us, where we have control, where we do not have control, is a very good place to get started with the self-acceptance process. Embracing yourselves with strengths, weaknesses, imperfections. Either you get along with someone or no, other person gets along with us or no. Setting those kinds of differences aside, being authentic to ourselves. Let me ask you a question, and you can, please, this is a question that you will write an answer on your notepad. Do you, at this stage you are in your life, regardless of your accomplishments, things you accomplished or didn't accomplish, do you accept yourself as is, physically, emotionally, or spiritually? Yes or no? The answer should be for this question, yes or no. Yes, you accept yourself as is, or no, you are critical of yourself. This is you talking to yourself, not others telling you. So are you critical? Am I critical of myself? That, if the answer is you don't accept yourself as is, you're critical of yourself, the follow-up question will be, and you don't have to write it right away, but this is something, as an exercise, you could continue working on it, or as ideas come in, you can make notes. What are you critical about yourself? The unique qualities that you bring to, and most, as most of us, we look at grace as something that should be so eloquent about ourselves. It should be that, a smiley face all the time, a happiness, and you're exuberating joy. But the inside, if you're hurting, that doesn't happen. Self-acceptance is peace at heart, regardless of the things we have accomplished, didn't accomplish, relationships that have worked out or didn't work out. So I would take a pause. If anyone has a question to ask, please unmute yourself. So the next Okay, you're accepting of all right. So instead, if you can unmute, so I would not be interrupting to look at, or Katrina, look at chat. Or Katrina, would you mind if there's any message in the chat to share with me? Okay.
Yes, I will. I'll let you
All
know.
Okay. So the next one is cultivating self-care. I think self-care, we have realized in more recent years and months followed by COVID, post-COVID era, that self-care is critical. And especially at that age and a mid-age, as we talk about growing gracefully process, especially in that mid-age, we are juggling with aging parents, growing kids, um, a lot of demands from their growing into education, colleges, etc., etc. So we're spread apart, spread thin so much. The self-care is just not only physical, it's also personal growth, emotional and spiritual growth. So as that part of us, we set aside because we don't have time. And most of us do. I am guilty of myself as well. There's very little time. There was time that I felt guilty even being able to sit down and watch a TV show. And but those are some of those are the moments that we have to realize when something has erupted inside us and we are asking a question. It's just not going to a spa, taking a day off, or going to get your nails done or hair done. It's more than that. It's the nurturing of our soul is equally important, especially at that stage where we like to call it midlife. And this is a growth process onward, not just the physical growth. Growth is aging. That's happening anyway. It's from birth onward is happening. It's the growth of our personality that we are aging with dignity, grace, self-acceptance, and we're giving ourselves that we have done a great job of whatever our responsibilities were, we executed them well. Now it's our time to accept the way we are. Whatever extra pounds we are carrying doesn't matter. Whatever things I couldn't accomplish doesn't matter. Where I am accepting, and I am giving myself that opportunity to care for my spiritual and emotional growth. Okay, so any questions on this one? Let's move to the next one, embracing personal growth. All right, so that's as Katrina was saying, this isn't a very exciting topic for me. I cannot talk enough. The personal growth, from as we look back from our teens to 20s to 30s, 40s, and when we come to us mid-age onward, that's a never-ending. It's a never-ending process. It's required with a different mindset and what's happening around us. In this third decade of 21st century, we find ourselves into a very different dynamics professionally. We find ourselves learning things that our parents at this age really didn't have to. We have to change our mindset, not only to incorporate what we have been taught so far, but also what our children, our younger generation is teaching us. They're asking of us to be open to environments and things and artificial intelligence. They become extremely important for us to take to stop, take a pause, take a look at it. I'm going to take a pause to get a sip of water. So the personal growth is a continuous process. There is no ending. that we have come to a stage and we could stop learning or growing. The more we neglect that kind of growth, the more we come in our own way. The other thing that I think we should look at is the time. The passage of time, as we look at in such a way that years go by, the moments go by, never to return. They have left their impression in our memories of good or bad memories, some pleasant memories, some regrets. Sometimes we have to realize that what's holding heavy and be able to recognize it. And that's part of the personal growth. Wherever some regrets or bad feelings or disappointments of the past are holding us back, be able to acknowledge, understand what I can do in that moment to change something, if that's possible. Either is forgiveness, either is refreshing those relationships, or doing something that was never took a priority, and now you can, just so you have that kind of satisfaction of growth. I think that's part of all, bringing it together into the personal growth, and challenging ourselves. I always say that, if I am in my comfort zone, because, okay, I had an auto accident with the back pains and things like that. Yes, I have a limited stamina that I used to have years ago, but I still want to be mentally engaged and do as much as physically those activities that kind of fill my heart, because there's a growth process. We grow not just only doing things, but engaging with the human beings. The shared humanity is part of our personal growth. Finding people who are like-minded. If people, because of you changed workplaces or geographically you moved, same people who were in your inner circle are no longer available. Don't rob yourself from that opportunity of things that you enjoy. That's all part of our grace that we give it to ourselves, of accepting and acknowledging. And other areas of growth are being vulnerable. When we know that there are some sensitive parts, moments, and areas in our lives that we open up, that's part of our shared humanity. We all have those moments that we all have those areas of our lives where we need to express them with sincerity. Of course, the safety, the psychological safety has to be there, but that's part of, again, becomes part of the personal growth. The whole package of strengthening our core muscles is personal growth. A couple of people have joined. I would like to remind you, please, if you need a moment to step away to grab a pen or paper, please do that. You could make notes, and we will have a Q&A. Does anybody have a question at this moment?
Actually, I have a question, if that's
Sure.
okay.
Sure.
Hashim has a question. Why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, thank you very much. On personal growth,
Yes.
I wanted to know if your job is also a personal growth, your job, because there are a lot of joblessness and people try to do things on their own, like self-employment. So I wanted to know whether that can also be attributed to the self growth. Thank you very much.
Your instead of job, working for someone else, if you are self-employed and doing things for yourself, is that part of a personal growth? Is that the question? Did I get that correctly?
I want because a lot of people think that by doing something or working, getting a good job is a personal growth to them. Is getting a good job. I mean, good job. And there are some people too who don't have that good job, but they are doing things on their own. So is it also a personal growth? That is what I wanted to know.
Sure. Okay, I got it. Thank you for explaining. Okay. So if good job is, again, what defines a good job? Good salary, good working environment, or it
Yeah.
gives you a lifelong opportunity to not only professionally grow but also personally grow, right? So there could be a job. Let me just make the point clear. If job is giving you a good paycheck but is physically, emotionally, mentally strenuous, so it depends on a person what they call it as a good job, right? So the financial security, at the same time, the emotional well-being that comes with it are two different things, right? So sometimes there's a compromise because the financial security is there, the person needs for the family, and they overlook the stress is producing, right? So instead, if they go into doing things of their own, again, in this one, I would split it in two parts. You're doing something to earn money, but you don't like it, or you're doing something for yourself because this is what you wanted to do, right? So that's again, there is a professional growth. There's always a learning. But the personal growth comes in when you strengthen your core muscle of inner strength. We're getting into that the slide. That was the part that inner strength is the foundation of a personal growth. It becomes when we persevere, we have hope, we have disappointments, we have ambition, we have obstacles. There's so many things we try to make sense. And it requires a lot of inner strength and ambition and a hope. We still strive and persevere. That results in our personal growth. So the profession or financial sources of income may provide us a lot of experience, may provide us a lot of learning moments, but at the same time, there might not be much personal growth. It may or it may not be. I hope I've answered your question, at least for part of it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it's well understood. Thank you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Katrina, you wanted to ask something, right?
Yeah, I had a question. So I thought it was interesting. You were saying that we have to incorporate what we know so far and also what our children and like the next generation will be learning. I don't know if you can hear my son shouting in the background, but yes, so I'm already feeling that even though my kids are little. I'm wondering, and then I feel in myself this like I don't want to deal with all those like new things that are going to be coming up with that for them, and like I've never had to deal with. Like, how do you kind of, yeah, but I have to be there for them. So how do you kind of, yeah, find that balance where you're just like, I don't want to learn all these new things that my kids and future generations are working with.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thank you for asking this question. Actually, this is in a very critical moment that we as young mothers, like you said, you have younger children, they are facing. So my kids are graduated, I'm empty nester. So I used to tell my mom, she passed away about 10 years ago. I used to tell her when my kids were much younger and getting into schools or before they entered college, I used to tell my mother that we were 5 brothers sisters. I said she raised 5 with so ease that it's very difficult for us to raise 2, right? So the time changed. I remember we would play in the evening after school. We did our homework and we go out to play in the playgrounds, sometime a little bit away from home, and didn't come home until we got hungry. Did we get hungry? And our mother never worried where we were, right? So that was a different time. Then when I raised my kids, they mostly, yes, they would go out to school games and things like that. But now with the younger generation, they're connected with devices globally with people that we worry for cybersecurity, and then all kinds of nonsense that comes through that, right? So the things have changed so much where you have presented the challenges. So for young parents, their challenges are much, much higher than my mother had while she was raising us, right? And I used to tell her, and I usually say to people, especially who have their first child, and if I come to know someone who just had their firstborn, and it's just that the things that their dreams that they want to teach their kids this and they want to teach their kids that. They can't wait kid to grow up to do X, Y, Z. And I asked them, so what's the kid teaching you? Right? I was very taken back. A mentor of mine had said one day that when a 16-year-old in Africa, and that's what he said. So Hashim, no offense, please. So she actually was one of the volunteer in organizations with the United Nations. So she spent a lot of time some parts of Africa. And she said that if a 16-year-old gives birth to a child, as a young mom, the newborn teaching her how to be a mom. I never forgot that our children, when they come into our life, they are teaching us. When a child comes into a life, all of a sudden a child creates relationships. Your mom, dad, aunt, grandma, uncle, auntie, this, that. You become so many things, right? Child creates so many relations just entering the world, right? And if we take see that from a different perspective, and we all have our understanding of those different relations, right? What it means. And children are teaching us. We teach them and they teach us. And that's where, Katrina, you mentioned my book on the women leadership. So I very often talk about it, that it's a collaboration of all generation, right? It is that they are teaching us things that we have set aside because we gotten so entangled in other stuff, because these are the new issues that they have come. And in order for us as our shared humanity and our family unit, we need to accept those, right? For my own example, as I had this conversation with my mom, it was much easier for her to raise us than it was me raising my children. We need to learn new things. So to answer your question the best way I can, we can never be perfect in understanding of what we need to know, because kids don't come with manuals. We didn't come with manuals. Our parents did not have any manual. We learn through our experiences. We do the best we can. But I would, however, say that we are right now living into a very digital world, which has its pros and cons, which has its dark side and which has its benefit. So as a young parents, we need to be aware of what those challenges are, where we can take control. As I am in contact often with think tank and other mentors, that they are designing systems and shaping strategies and policies, etc., etc. So very often what comes out is get them while you can, meaning that teach kids when they are young. At their adolescence, they are pretty much, you have lost control, right? So to summarize my answer for you, Katrina, is that we may never learn to be perfect, and we may not always have the perfect answers to go at the moment, but we can try to see the environment we are at, our surroundings, and how to best position ourselves to give them that kind of nurturing, caring, and those kind of the moments that when they can cherish when they grow up. Okay. All right. So I see a few more people have joined, and I would like to remind everyone, if you have pen and a pad to make some notes. The reason I had said at the beginning, these are a lot of personal things that people explore during these conversations. So I am not very comfortable having polls and quizzes. And so in the interest of time, we may not have time to have a group session, but these are the notes that you can make and you can develop. And Katrina would share a gift, the identify your self-worth. So you'll have that to build upon your questions. So people who have joined a little bit later, if you don't mind, Katrina, I will kind of step back for a moment. And our first item was the 8 pillars, self-acceptance. So the question there was that, do you, whatever has happened in life, your professions, relationships, anything personal, professional, we're talking about as a midlife where you have aging parents, growing children, get yourself caught in between, didn't accomplish things, have extra pounds, have some health issues, something else happened, good, bad relationship, whatever. Question is, do you accept yourself as is? Yes. No, if you say I'm critical of myself, not what other people are critical of you. If you are critical of yourself, yes or no? So those were the questions that we had asked, and we did go over a little bit. And I think when you look at that article, Christina would share, you will find a lot more to develop on it, and you can ask during Q&A. So embodying inner strength, I think I did touch on it in some ways already. That it's about recognizing and harnessing the inner strength. The inner strength is the foundation of personal growth. Inner strength comes from having that guiding virtues of let me step back. Inner strength is just like a cornerstone or a foundational stone. When you persevere among the hope and disappointments or accomplishments and failures, successes and failures, having regrets, the time lost, the things you cannot go back to, any regrets, etc. So when you try to put all of that together by midlife, we have so much to make sense of and make peace with. So at that stage in life, there's things that we cannot go back to amend. There are things maybe we may be able to make amends with. So wherever you can, and you're at peace with yourself, because then it becomes your foundational stone, your cornerstone and a foundation of personal growth. And growing gracefully is a part of that personal growth. growing gracefully is giving yourself that grace, that regardless of my shortcomings, my strengths, my disappointments, my things like accomplished, I couldn't accomplish, I should have done that, didn't do it. Kids turned out to be this, I wanted that. There's nothing we could do about. We let them go. The kindness, the compassion to ourselves, and self-care. For self-care is just not physical. Some people have just joined, so just kind of repeat this one on the self-care part of it. It's just not physical, taking care of yourself physically, getting your nails done or going to a spa or having a spa day, etc., or just being in a park or by the beach. No, self-care is also emotional and spiritual. Because right now we are in that midlife process that we find ourselves that there's a lot of things that we need to reason with. We need to make peace with. We still want to see that I have a bucket list. I want to accomplish XYZ. Start making sense of that. What goals that I couldn't accomplish and they're still important? What are not? Kind of go through that filtering process to come to peace with that. So, in other words, of the pursuits of growing gracefully, we would cultivate the profound courage and forbearances, whatever challenges we have. So instead of shying away from adversity, we need to develop the resilience to confront it. Even for there were setbacks, there are also opportunities for growth, where to find them, right? So at the core of growing gracefully lies a peaceful mind. So you might want to write it down, this line. At the core of growing gracefully lies a peaceful mind. So that's where kind of we are able to make sense, make peace with our disappointments, regrets, etc., and still create a fertile ground of our ideas and nurture our growth, nurture our self-growth, nurture our soul, nurture our spiritual growth, nurture our emotional growth, whatever that might be important to us. Okay. I see there are some messages in chat. Katrina, would you let me know if there are any questions?
No, there's no questions, just likes, and Hashim
Okay.
says he has to go to
All right.
bed.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yes.
Hashim, for being part of this. Thank you. All right. So embracing life transition. So as well, so what I have been talking about is as midlife is so much life transitions, empty nesters, having our aging parents and moving away and this and that. You have your retirement home, it has become priority. Retirement goals have become priority. Where, when, all of these, so many transitions are taking place. In the face of all of that, having that kind of a strong sense of your well-being, emotionally, physically, I think that becomes very important, so you don't get stressed out, and embrace those life transitions with grace and adaptability. It is very difficult for people to make decisions. If your children move out, they have jobs, you start having grandkids and want to see them, but they're far apart. A lot of times, so I know quite a few people, their children here in living in New Jersey, their children have moved out of United States. So they don't even get to see them as often, talk to them as often. There's just so many changes that's happening in our lives we don't have time to pay attention to because we don't know those. As the children are young, they're growing, you don't think about what if my children grow up and go to someplace else. We don't. I'm using that as an example as the life transitions. People lose their spouse, loved ones. There's so many different things that we need to move through, and so often with losing someone dear, near and dear, creates a void. It creates sometimes people say it left a hole in my heart, or I could have done this, I could have done that, I was busy doing such and such. So those are a lot of disappointments that we carry. I want in growing gracefully process to embrace any disappointments we have, make peace with them, accept the life transitions, either their career shift, empty nesting, whatever those are, or even these are some of your own goals that you want. Now that you have opportunity to go pursue them, even if that is the case, first of all is that understand how important that fits in the priority, so you do not have any other regrets just because you have started pursuing something was important to you, but the nurturing, caring, and caring of yourself and people around you has been left aside. So that's being life transitions. I think that's very clear what I'm talking about on life transition and embrace life transitions. I would like to move on to the next one on inner beauty, unless someone has a question. Okay, all right. Inner beauty. So I see, especially women more than men, we become so critical of ourselves, extremely critical of ourselves, especially in the midlife process. Always there is something that we're not happy about it. Okay. I think most of us can connect, relate to one or two things we don't like about ourselves. I would like to ask you to ask yourself why you become so critical of yourself. That goes back to the self-acceptance, right? So the inner beauty is nothing to do with our external beauty, few extra pounds or whatever, something else that you may not be liking about yourself. Ask yourself, is this you're drawing attention to that external feature than something bigger that you are not trying to deal with? So really, that's a part of expressing that so far the wisdom you have, the accomplishments you have, what you have given not only as a giver of life, alongside the giver of life, there's so much gifts that you have given to the people that you brought in this world. And look at your own beauty from that perspective. I want to show you that I borrowed this slide from my self-discovery to self-mastery course. And I look at this, and every time I look at this, sometimes different ideas would come in my mind. The beauty is beauty, no matter how much mud you throw at it, no matter how old we get, how many wrinkles and pounds we have, whatever we have become, the inner beauty shines through. That is the loving kindness that we have. We treat ourselves and people around us from that kindness, from that generosity, and the gifts we have. Giving life is such a big gift. Someone gave us life, so we are here, and I am here talking to you all. Without having that gift of life, I would not be able to accomplish anything. And as mothers, as women, This is our species' duty and responsibility to bring life. Of course, the father has some role in it, but we forget to give ourselves that kindness and acknowledge ourselves. So I want you to all acknowledge yourself for your inner beauty. It doesn't matter how it looks outside. So acknowledging of the inner beauty, the confidence, the kindness, the authenticity, it would radiate within you. That is giving grace to yourself. Grow with that grace that I have done the best I could. The circumstances, the resources were available to me. I did the best. And whatever other contribution that you have given to life, to society, to the world, acknowledge to yourself. And that's enough acknowledgement for yourself to fill your heart. So in case if you are trying to find something is wrong, you know, I should lose 10 pounds. Yes, it's a good for health, losing some pounds, but that should not be a part of, it should be part of wellness. It should not be part of dragging yourself down or being critical of yourself. Okay. The moving on is nurturing relationship. Did anybody had any question on the last one? Or we can continue? No? Okay. Nurturing relationships. So, okay. So as we all can see, as we have siblings get into relationships, our family structures start going. When our children come in our life, they get into relationships. We have like a new set of relationships happening around us. So those are the relationships, the personal and professional, the friendships, etc., that they are so tangible to see. These are the physical people that we see in our lives, that we nurture the relationships. Have you thought of the relationship we have with the non-living things and ideas that we have? Things that matter to us, either be creating music, creating art, something performance art, or a love for something that we have and we relate to ourselves. That becomes part of our being, our personalities, our persona. We associate ourselves with that type of ideas or concepts. Could be. How do we nurture those relationships in our growth process? It should be part of also our nurturing, our self-care, and our growth process, that if we have nurtured those relationships, relationship with the nature, relationship with oceans or earth, or service to mankind, or serving a cause, could be anything. That's our relationship to that sort of ideas or values or giving. However we are, make that part of your accepting yourself, that this is what I am giving to the world. Give yourself that grace that I have done this. Whatever draws you, whatever inspires you, whatever, this is nurturing. It's nurturing you, and give acknowledgement to those ideas as well. Because it's not that you have nurtured others, something has nurtured you too. Okay. So the eighth one is inspiring others. I would like to share an example. A few months ago, I came to know an elderly woman by accident. When I met her, she's in her late 70s, a very small frame, thin, and very pleasant woman. She couldn't even complete her high school. She speaks 7 languages. she's as a wise person, loving, kind, caring, has raised 3 outstanding, talented kids. Her caring generosity is so inspiring. Just being in her company for a few minutes is so inspiring. So what I wanted to why I wanted to share this was that it doesn't require us to accumulate high degrees or have big titles to inspire others. We don't need a political platform or a corporate platform to inspire others. It's the generosity and kindness, how we touch our world around us, how graceful it becomes, even in a growing into our ripe years, in our golden golden stages of our life. So inspiring to see people that who give with generosity, even the little that may have. It's the happiness and the joy they spread. It's really graceful to see those people around us that if you come across, just acknowledging them, that how inspiring they become to others. This person that I'm talking about, she has about 16 or 17 adopted grandkids, calls them grandkids. These are the people who may have grown into disrupted families, didn't have very stable family structure, and she just spreads love. And that's grace. I think that's was such a noteworthy example that I could share with you today, that I have personally experienced her. And inspiration, as I say that, it doesn't come with doing something extraordinary. It could be ordinary things that we do without any cost. It doesn't have to cost anything. So it is so uplifting. You would hear this so many times from different sources in different way, that when you do an act of kindness, it fills your heart. It inspires others. Right? In this day and age, when we have the social media full of anger, hate, distrust, and all of that, an act of kindness to yourself and an act of kindness to others is very important. So I hope that these all 8 pillars, which I would repeat, for especially for those people that who had joined a little bit later, as this presentation would be available to you. Those 6 components which encompass growing gracefully are self-acceptance, self-care, personal growth, inner strength, embracing life transitions, embracing inner beauty, nurturing relationship, and inspiring others. Okay, now, Katrina, I would like to open for questions.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. There were a lot of great nuggets. This is my notebook. I have, wrote down all these nuggets. I have to look at them again later. Yeah, if there's anybody who has a question or a comment, we'd love to hear from you. You don't have to be quiet. You can unmute yourself.
And also, Katrina, you can share the article.
Yes.
Identifying your self-worth. You can download this article. People, when you go through it, you can build your own ideas and of what inspires you, what challenges you. Are you critical to yourself? And what you can do to nurture your self-care beyond physical self-care.
Great. Yes, I'll put that in the chat again in case you missed that, or it's further up in the scrolling. So it's right there.
Okay, this is the screen if you want to take a capture of the screen. So these are the 8 steps. And you are recording this, right?
Yes. It's
So
being
that would be
recorded.
available
Yeah.
as well. Okay, so that was my question. And the
Mommy, I'm Pete.
Sorry.
that's okay.
My son is butting in. Okay, go see. Okay, go to the bathroom. He's potty
That's-
training, so
That's quite
Um,
all right. That's your job as a mom. So that's
yes, never ends.
accepting your reality, accepting where we are. That's
Accepting where we are. Yes, this is where I am.
yes.
I mean, just some of the comments in the chat.
Mhm.
Michio says it was so nice learning, especially as women. Thank you. Cynthia says nurturing relationships important. Yes.
Yes.
And yeah, well, I put a comment. I really like, this acknowledgement that someone and something has nurtured me as well, and kind of
Yes.
remembering those to help
Yes.
where all the things that helped make me me.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so
And
yes.
also wanted to share, and that's okay after questions. So we have workshop coming in August. There's two workshops, is the same thing. One is on Sunday, 1 p.m. Other one is during the weekday, same time. And we do magic and mindfulness every second Tuesday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's no cost, it's complimentary. And this is based on my book. It's releasing in fall, Magic and Mindfulness. So I think in a chaotic world that we live in right now, understanding at every moment, just being that, giving ourselves an opportunity, the things that you could let go, not affect you, etc. So this is a very interesting topic that I'm bringing in, not just breathing or doing some mindfulness exercise, but just having that mindset of mindfulness in our daily lives, etc. So that is, I just wanted to share with the people here. And oh, by the way, this book made it number 8 in print at in two categories, in two different categories, women in business, women in economy. So just was so proud to share. Okay. I sent you this list of the upcoming events that we have, and these are all complimentary. If anyone wants to join, I'm more than happy to. Please do. The last one that I have, women leadership, we just did yesterday. It was our very first one. That's on the leadership book. So this is the book. So that's a very timely topic on women leadership. It's a collaboration of women of all generation, the baby boomer generation, being able to find those who need mentoring, and the younger generation to be able to take advantage of a lot of talented women who are exiting workforce. And so much more, from artificial intelligence to circular economy to digital world, fourth industrial revolution, to I have addressed a lot of topics, power and persuasion. Power, most people would understand that as a control and authority. It's not. As women, we have a lot of power that we don't understand about ourselves. The power exerts itself, it extends itself. We just need to know how to tap into our own power, and without having that control and authority, let that power be shown. So there's a lot of good topics here. So if people want to join, it's once a month. So far we have set it up till December. And yeah. Any other questions?
So I put all of this in the chat as well, so you can grab
Thank you.
that. And everyone who registered. I'll also send a follow-up email with all this information so you can go and look, check it out. And also with the recording for tonight, so you can get that. I see somebody joined a little bit like 2 minutes ago, but we're wrapping up. I'm sorry, but we'll send the registration, the link out to everyone with the recording and all of these great opportunities to go further. But yeah, if there are any other questions from anyone or comments. Okay, I guess we have a quiet bunch here.
All right, no problem.
Very reflective.
I hope everyone enjoyed, and I would love to hear your feedback. And if there are any questions, please find us on social media. And Christina, if Katrina, if questions come to you, or even during next session, we could address some of those.
Yeah. So yeah, in the meantime, yeah, there was one date correction in the list, so I'll put that in there right now.
Yes.
Yes, for the 28th. But our next session together with Ritu is next week, June 29th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 7 to 8:30. We'll be talking about self-discovery to self-mastery. Yes, self-mastery. Great. Very important. So I hope many more people will join us next week. Hopefully we'll see you all again. And yes, with that, I will say thank you for coming. Thank you to our presenter. Please post any thank yous in the chat. Give your love and gratitude.
Thank you all.
Yes. And so that's good evening. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful weekend. And hopefully we'll see you next week. If you can't make it, we'll also send the recording for that one as well, if the time doesn't work out. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night.